Okay, the first AP question we're going to start is from lesson 3. So, and bubble 5. So this AP question deals with a written response to be describe the incremental and iterative development process of your program. We have written about this one before. This one pertains to rows 2 and 3 of your rubric. Row 2, describe or outline the steps used in the incremental and iterative development process to create the program. And row 3, identify at least 2 program development difficulties or opportunities and how the 2 identified difficulties or opportunities are resolved or incorporated. I also have open here your Create Task Survival Guide. And so I'm going to navigate to the 2B prompt page. Let's see if I can find it. Here's the guidelines. Here's 2B. And remember our checklist of items, and you should make note for overall development. They're talking about the generalized development of your program, indicates whether you completed it independently or with a partner. Then you're going to talk about your first and second difficulties or opportunities. And for both, you need to describe it. You need to talk about the source of the difficulty. You have to say and use these words that the source was either determined or found by feedback, testing, or reflection. And that's true for both. So in this problem, they give you a sample. A student wrote the following response. You are to read this response, and then what they want you to do is grade for row 2 and row 3. Explain why you would or would not award the points. Pay particular attention to the last column of the scoring guideline and the checklist entitled Do Not Award a Point If. So at this point, you should stop the video, answer the question, and then when you're ready to see the answer, start the video back up. Now, for this problem, the response would likely not earn the point for row 2. The response only describes 2 specific points in the development process without making reference to the overall development process. Note the scoring guideline. The response would likely receive the credit for row 3 since it does describe 2 difficulties encountered and how they were resolved. The response could be improved to earn row 2 by indicating in a sentence or 2 how the program was developed. For example, I developed this program individually by writing small portions and then testing them both individually and by having my classmates play the game. I first developed the basic gameplay and then improved the look of my game with the time I had left. Let's move on to lesson 5, bubble 22. Choosing an abstraction. Okay, so here we are back to abstraction again. One component of the task is creating and describing an abstraction in your program. Here's the prompt. Capture or paste a program code segment that contains an abstraction you developed individually on your own marked with a rectangle. The abstraction must integrate math and logical concepts. Explain how your abstraction helped manage the complexity of your program. And this is related to row 7 of the rubric. Response, using abstraction to create a new abstraction such as a list to represent a collection. Don't award the point if it's not user created, and so on. So below is a segment of code from a clicker program with a rectangle drawn around a portion of the code identifying an abstraction. Each row is worth a point and can or cannot be awarded. Explain why you would or would not award the point for row 7 based on the criteria given above in the rubric. So once again, I'm going to stop the video, You should stop the video. You should answer the question, and then when you're ready to see the answer, turn the video back on. Okay. Here is your answer. This code would not receive the credit for the row. Even though this code makes use of math and logical concepts, here's the math, here's the logical concepts. Event handlers like OnEvent are not considered student-created abstraction by the College Board. An OnEvent is something that comes with the language. This would also likely not be a good choice as an abstraction, since it will be difficult to make an argument that this code manages the complexity of your program. This is admittedly a bit of a gotcha question, but choosing event handlers as an abstraction is one of the easiest ways to lose points for this question on the Create Performance task. See the Create Performance task prep unit for more resources on preparing for the performance task. Hopefully that one is pretty straightforward. I did spend a lot of time telling you when we first talked about abstraction that OnEvent, it comes with the language. It is not a user-created abstraction. Moving on, let's go to lesson 9. And we're going to go to bubble 16. And this time we're finally getting into the areas of an algorithm. One component of the task is selecting and describing an algorithm that you developed. Capture and paste a program code segment that implements an algorithm, and that is fundamental for your program to achieve its intended purpose. This code segment must be an algorithm you developed individually on your own, must include 2 or more algorithms, and must integrate math and/or logical concepts. Describe how each algorithm within your selected algorithm functions independently, as well as in combination with others, to form a new algorithm that helps to achieve the intended purpose of your program. I'm going to take a minute to circle back to earlier in the week. When I had included in the announcement page a document about algorithms. Now, I hoped that you had looked at it, but I would like to take a minute to go through this. And to be honest with you, this is not the right one. Let me circle back. I believe it was in one of the lessons, so let me see if I can find it. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this video, and I'll start a new video once I find what I was looking for.